Hello, everyone. It's Sibyl Star. I'm here to give the astrology for the Libra new moon solar eclipse that occurs on October 14th, 2023. Eclipses are very intense energy, and we've got several other super intense factors happening this month. Well, actually, at this Libra solar eclipse. So we've got Pluto has just gone direct. There's a Mars Pluto square, a Venus Saturn opposition. The nodes are involved. Anyway, it's super intense. So let me just get right into it. I'm sure you can feel it in the air. And to know too, there's like at least a 10 to 14 day window moving into the eclipse. So you may already be feeling everything that I'm talking about. And to know eclipses, they can their energy can last for up to a year or longer. Even though let's put it this way, their impact can last up to a year or longer. So first I'm going to show you the chart. So we have let me show you the chart of this eclipse. Screen share, there we go. All right. So this eclipse occurs on, let's see here. This eclipse occurs on October 14th at 10:55 a.m. and it happens, though the new moon happens at 21 degrees, 7 minutes of Libra. You can see it right over here. Sun and moon, 21 degrees, 7 minutes of Libra. And it's conjunct the south node. Okay, so it means it's opposing the north node, so it's involved with the nodes. It's conjunct Mercury. The eclipse and the nodal axis is in a square to Pluto. So this is all pretty much together. Okay, that's one aspect. And then we have Mars in Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto in a square to Pluto. It's not, I'm going to say it's kind of out, it's definitely out of range of the eclipse, but it's definitely in range of a square to Pluto. And this new moon is also in it, what's called an inconjunct to Uranus. Uranus is at 22 degrees of Taurus. And many would round this up to 22 degrees of Libra. And then one other pattern we have going on is that we have Venus conjunct Black Moon Lilith opposing Saturn. The Saturn is also trine Mars, and Mars is sextile this Venus and Black Moon Lilith. All right, so let us get on with what all of this actually means. Okay, so eclipses can impact and disrupt the electromagnetic field of Mother Earth as the light of the sun is blocked, allowing for more cosmic energies to flow in. Many ancient cultures and indigenous people stay inside and pray as the changes in the field can be palpable. And some cultures try to stay in water to allow for less disturbance in their energy field. Eclipses are harbingers of change. They bring to light what has been hidden. This is what is called an annular solar eclipse. So I want to show you an image of the annular solar eclipse. Okay. It's called a ring of fire. So there is like a ring of fire. It's completely blocked except for this ring of fire. So it's not in perfect alignment, but it's pretty darn close. All right. Okay. So that is the solar eclipse. Okay. So anyway, what does all of this mean, of course? So the annular ring of fire eclipse is visible in a path from Oregon through the Mount Shasta Cascade Mountain area region of Northern California, Nevada, the Four Corners, New Mexico, and Texas. And my best understanding of this, if you're within a 300-mile radius of that path, you will see the ring of fire. Everyone outside of the path will see a partial solar eclipse. So pretty much everyone in the Western United States is going to see the eclipse. They may not see the ring of fire, but they'll at least see a partial eclipse. And solar eclipses happen at a new moon, so are about new beginnings. But this one is also conjunct the south node of the moon, which indicates we must let go of something before the new beginnings can occur. Okay. And so it's in the sign of Libra, and Libra, of course, is the sign of balance. It's the sign of, and it doesn't mean Libra is balanced. It means Libra is seeking balance, and balance between self and other, balance just simply in their environment. Inner peace, harmony, and serenity is a goal of Libra, since it, as part of that balance, they come together. The great Egyptian goddess Ma'at is associated with Libra, and she stands for justice, balance, and cosmic law. And there is a right order of things, and when things are in their right order, it does bring inner peace and serenity. Libra is the sign of the other, so it is about relationship, our relationship with each other, our relationship with the world, and it's about cooperative relationships. Libra is a very empathetic kind of an energy. It can actually, it really does feel what others are feeling. And Libra can see validity in both sides of an issue. That's why they make great judges. They know the world. The world is shades of gray. It is not black and white, and recognizes what is just does not always seem fair. The scales need to be balanced. Okay. And Libra can manage paradox more easily than most. And they say the universe is actually made of paradox. Okay. And one of the shadows of Libra is overcompromising. It can be called the cult of the nice. And to remember that conflict avoidance creates imbalance quicker than anything. All right. So this eclipse, as I talked about, is conjunct Mercury in Libra. Mercury is god of the mind and how we perceive the world and communicate our ideas. Mercury in Libra is diplomatic, tactful, and empathetic in their communications, with the ability to see both sides of a situation, consider other points of view. There are many ways to see the same situation. I just heard a really lovely way of it being stated, that each of us are one point of light. Every one of us is a point of light. And that point of light has its own worldview, their own perspective, their own perception of reality. Okay. But due to this, Libra can be indecisive because the world is not black and white, but shades of gray. Okay. And as I said, this eclipse is also square Pluto, which is the god of death and rebirth. So, and it brings transformation. And so this indicates to me a transformation in our perception of reality and the role our mind plays in creating it as new information comes to light. Remember, in every eclipse, something that has been hidden comes to light. And especially if you have planets anywhere near that 21 degrees, usually we give like a 3-degree orb. So that would be what, around 18 to 24, 25 degrees of Libra, Aries, and I would also say Cancer, Capricorn, but Libra, Aries would be the strongest. Okay. And what we're letting go of, since this is a south node eclipse, is letting go of old wounds and traumas and allowing forgiveness for ourselves and others, which frees us from the baggage of that old story to allow for a new beginning. We got to get rid of the old story to allow for the new to be born. And you might be wondering what is behind me. This is an image of a black hole. Okay, this is the prettiest one I could find. There were other ones, but I liked this one. Anyway, well, first off, I want to say letting go of old stories and wounds allows us to raise our vibration. And as we do, we are able to see the bigger picture, which allows us to transcend polarities and access unity consciousness. Okay. And this is a black hole, as I said. And black hole, I've been learning a lot about black holes, and I'll be sharing them with you because they actually impact our consciousness in many different ways. But the black holes are portals to other universes. And What they actually are, they are a dying star, and I've kind of learned a little bit of the astrophysics of them. They are a dying star, and as it dies, it what does they say? It creates this point of singularity. All of the mass becomes, what would be the word? Comes like a point, very small point. It's kind of like all of the mass is pulled in to this point, and this point actually then is called a singularity, and it punches through to other galaxies and other universes out of this field. It has that much power. So anyway, I feel like what this is, and so it opens the doorway to other universes so this cosmic energy can come in. And as like I said, we're already in an eclipse, which the light of our sun is eclipsed. So these energies can come in much more powerfully. And so I feel like it is a major teaching coming in, allowing us to remember our own divinity, to show up as our authentic selves and anchor the light and the cosmic energy that is pouring through from the other side of this black hole, from other dimensions and other galaxies, giving us a new perspective. Okay. And I feel like what the Sabian symbol often gives really good information about the energy of the event. And so the Sabian symbol for this degree of the zodiac is a child giving birds a drink at a fountain. And birds often symbolize spiritual messengers, and children are close to God, and they're in right alignment with Creator. They haven't come out of that alignment yet. And I feel like so the message is about nurturing our connection to spirit, listening to the messages that are coming through, nurturing all life, including ourselves, others, and all of the natural world. And the message is the message of that Lakota term, Mitakuyeasin, which means all my relations. All beings in Mother Earth are our relations. We are all connected. We are all interconnected. And as the Mayans say, my other self, we are all aspects of Creator and are all related. And that generosity and kindness can change our perspective of life and how we experience it. No matter how difficult life becomes, the way to navigate it is through kindness and generosity of spirit. The 5D consciousness that we are moving into, or that, or moving into, but becoming part of is a better way to say it. Becoming part of is characterized by love, unity, and creativity that is based from the heart. Kindness and generosity of spirit is the way of life in a 5D consciousness, a 5D reality. But we have some healing to do as part of this process to be able to do that. And so this eclipse activates the nodes and squares Pluto. So the eclipse is conjunct the south node, and anything conjunct the south node, there's two things going on. There's something to be released as we also bring our gifts through. It's opposite the north node in Aries, conjunct Eris at 24 degrees. The nodes are at 24 degrees, Aries, Libra right now. And Eris is the goddess of discord, but she's also the feminine warrior to me. And she created discord when she did not have a seat at the table. She was denied a seat at the table. And so, but to know there is a lot of people in our world now who do not have a seat at the table. So there is a lot of discord as we're trying to balance the scales. Okay. The North Node in Aries is about personal sovereignty. The South Node is about balanced cooperative relationships and how we find that balance between ourselves and others. And like I said, is it squared Pluto, which indicates we're at a crossroads at finding that balance. Now, Pluto, like I said, is super powerful in this eclipse. It squares the eclipse, but it has just gone direct and it is square Scorpio, which is a challenge. Squares are always challenges. They make us rise to the occasion. And it's kind of like sometimes can be compared like a dog that has, your pant leg, they just won't give up until you pay attention, like, what's going on here. Anyway, So Pluto has been first let's talk about Mars in Scorpio, because Mars is the warrior, and Mars in Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. And Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. You know, they say that Pluto is actually, this is a great thing I just recently heard. Of course, I knew that Pluto was the higher octave of Mars. It's kind of in the same energy field. And black holes are the higher octave of Pluto. Okay. It's very much of a death and rebirth experience, the death of the star and then the rebirth of energy that comes through. Anyway, Mars is the archetype of the warrior, which can either be the protector or the aggressor in its shadow aspect. Mars brings courage to walk in the fire of our fears and say no and set our boundaries. But it is also where we carry our rage and anger. So it is important to become aware of this during these very volatile times that are happening. There are healthy ways to release the emotion of anger and frustration, irritability, all the different ways anger shows up. But first, we must become aware and know that we have choices on how to deal with it. You know, physical activity is super important if we're feeling any of those emotions. Okay. And in Pluto ruled Scorpio, Mars is driven and focused on getting what it wants at all cost. It can even become obsessed. Mars in Scorpio is very strategic and plans carefully how to go about getting what they want. And they can keep their motives hidden. You know, as they say, play their cards close to the vest. Okay. Mars in Scorpio, the desire nature is strong, and we can become very attached to getting what we want and also become very disappointed if we don't get it. And the thing to remember, if we don't get it, is because it's not in our highest good. You know, it's super important to remember that. We may not get it because it's not in our highest good. But often there can be people can seek revenge or act out in other negative ways with Mars and Scorpio rather than just dealing with their disappointment. So anyway, just to know that is in the field. There is also a desire to experience emotional depth, and Mars and Scorpio is motivated by emotion. They are the driving force behind our actions, very intense energy. And we could also say Mars an aspect of Pluto as well. Mars in Scorpio may be attracted to crisis as transformative and emotionally exciting. We would rather feel extreme emotions than nothing at all. So it may be a time of stirring the pot anywhere there is stagnation and lack of growth, through the emotional body. It is a highly sexual and charismatic energy, and we may have a strong stirring of sexual attraction and a need for sexual contact during this time. So anyway, Mars square Pluto. Mars is square Pluto as well. And Pluto has just gone direct on October 10th. Pluto has been retrograde for the last 5 months, and it has been a very internal process of introspection, reflections, and self-healing. Remember, Pluto is the god of death and rebirth, and when Pluto comes along, he's saying evolve. It's time. It is the energy that pushes our evolution. Okay. And so when Pluto turns direct, it can mean it is time for change to happen. What has been brewing beneath the surface comes to light. It is a turning point in our collective and personal lives. We are experiencing the last degrees of a very long process that began in 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn. And Pluto will be in Capricorn until January of 2024, when Pluto moves into Aquarius. And then in the fall of 2024, makes a very short, I think is maybe a couple of months time back into 29 degrees of Capricorn one more time. So we're really getting this last degree of Capricorn teaching, which to me, it's about Pluto brings initiation, and Capricorn is so much about self-mastery. And I feel like we are learning to master our own fear. That is part of the 3D reality matrix. You know, they say fear does not exist in the higher frequency dimensions, but is part of what we're learning to master here. And so we're getting some really master teachings. Okay. And how we are attached to this fear matrix through trauma and conditioning. And it's time to break free, time to break out of it. And so, in aspect to Mars, this can trigger our triggers may be activated, and our triggers, of course, are related to some place, some trauma. If they are, watch your own reaction because with awareness of old patterns, the, if you can become aware of your patterns, they will show you that are coming to light, that they old patterns that are ready to be broken, and we can make a choice to respond differently. These old patterns may have served us at one time, but we don't need them anymore. We are being given an opportunity to break free from the hold fear and anger have on us. And of course, you know, this Pluto is transiting right now at 20 at this eclipse is at 27 degrees. Well, it's 28, it's 27:53, I think. So within a half a minute of conjunct the Pluto of the United States. And so once again, of the chart of the United States. And once again, it is bringing deep corruption to light on both sides of the aisle. You know, there is chaos in our capital. Um, Much that has been hidden is being revealed. Pay attention and know what is being revealed is true, even if we don't want to believe it. Politicians, I want to say, like I said too, and it's an opportunity to evolve. That's what it's about. It's not, you know, it's about cleaning up the corruption, cleaning up the old, dead, stagnant energy, the stuff that no longer works, and we're being pushed to evolve. It's kind of like we've come full circle with our Pluto, and it's time to evolve into the teachings of Capricorn, which are about self mastery, integrity, honesty. You know, that thing of every day we wake up, we look at ourselves in the mirror and to be able to live with ourselves. Those are the teachings of Capricorn. Okay. But mastery of fear is one of them because fear is what drives us into making choices we would not otherwise make. All right. But anyway, so back to what's happening now because we have some really big stuff. Um, like so what's actually going on now, the fear, the excuse me, the corruption that's coming to light is I've just recently learned that politicians here in the United States on both sides of the aisle have recently been heavily investing in the stock market and arms companies. Okay, and now the Middle East is erupting, as well as the war between Ukraine and Russia, of course, which is a proxy war for the US. And we are being drawn closer and closer to World War III. It's super important to be paying attention now. Mars square Pluto can bring power struggles and the good versus evil, black and white scenario, the archetypal morality play, um, and the human lives and the potential destruction of Mother Earth is at stake. It's really important to pay attention to world events right now. Mars square Pluto can create an intense desire to assert dominance, to achieve ambitious goals. So, and can be manipulative and underhanded. It's important to know all is not as it seems. Much is being hidden and used to manipulate us. And it's real. And that's why it's so important to be aware of our triggers because that's part of the manipulation and know they may be activated. Okay. And fear expressed as anger, and they're both in the field. And remember that the outer world is a reflection of our inner world on a collective basis. So be aware of what you're putting into the field. You don't have to contribute to it, and especially don't take sides. We are being asked to build bridges now as we move into unity consciousness. Mars square Pluto also gives courage, willpower, drive, and perseverance. It has the energy to move mountains. So be very aware and careful how you use this energy. It needs to be aligned with the highest good and to make sure that you're moving the right mountain, or you might find yourself in a very difficult situation. Okay, that's why it's really good to be aware of your underlying emotions and motivations uh, aligned with whatever it is you're trying to do. All right, these last degrees of Pluto transiting through Capricorn before he moves into Aquarius can be super intense, but we are being given an opportunity to alchemize fear in all its manifestations, such as judgment of self and others, shame, guilt, blame, and anger. With Pluto, we meet our shadow, the traumatized and unloved parts of ourselves. With love, it allows us to integrate our shadow into our psyche and become whole again. The word healing comes from whole. Healing is becoming whole. And Pluto, and how we do that with Pluto, Pluto asks for radical self-forgiveness of self, forgiveness of self, and forgiveness of others. For that is how, but it begins with ourselves. That is how the transformation takes place. Okay. And you might want to utilize the Ho'oponopono prayer of forgiveness during this time, because it's important to know love as a state of being heals all wounds. And of course, the Ho'oponopono prayer says, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. And to say it to yourself. And and it's in your field, it will actually impact your relationships with others. Okay. The late degrees of Pluto and Capricorn are preparing us for the evolution of consciousness, of moving into a 5D reality that occurs in the age of Aquarius, one that is based in the heart. But first, we are healing the old trauma that is held in our hearts so our energy can align with the higher vibrational frequencies that are pouring in. Pluto says evolve or die. That is the choice we have. When Pluto transits Aquarius, it will be our relationship with technology that must evolve. The Arcturians say that every civilization in our Milky Way galaxy has come to this point to use their technology to self-destruct or for acceleration of spiritual growth. And we are at that point. This is what is coming, okay? The eclipse in Libra is activating all of this, saying we must be the peace we want to see in the world. We cannot fight for peace, but we can be warriors or protectors of the peace, drawing our line in the sand and saying no to war as we own and transmute our own anger and fear into love. It is the way of the peaceful warrior. It is a time to come together and pray, and in the months to come, to flood our field with love and create the tipping point that is needed to transmute fear into love. There really is no other way. We can't fight our way to peace. We have to be the peace in the world to make it happen. Okay. All right. And of course, we can always ask for help. Know that we are never alone. Call upon our Star Nation relatives, our angels, all the invisible celestial realm is here to help us. We just have to ask for their help. All right. And there's one more thing, and that is the Venus is moved into Virgo. She's moved out of Leo, and she's opposite, and she is the ruler of this. Oh, actually, there's two more things. She is the ruler of this eclipse, and she is conjunct Black Moon Lilith, opposite Saturn. Okay, so Venus is goddess of love, and Virgo is a sign of service. So Venus in Virgo has a desire to express her love through service, through healing, practical acts of kindness. Okay. Virgo is the archetype of the priestess, is the sacred work. Remembering there is no difference between the sacred and the mundane. It's all about our perspective and being mindful. Okay. Venus in Virgo as an earth sign can be very interested in healing modalities of the earth, which are also beautiful, and such as herbs and nutrition, and also Venus is a sign of creativity. Okay. So Venus is a healing sign, interested in herbs and nutrition. Venus is also very, very much about creativity, and she likes to create with things from the earth. That's the way I want to say that. Okay. The shadow of Virgo is criticism of self and others, and it can be crippling. So if that old inner critical voice comes in, know that you can turn it off anytime. All right. Now it's opposite Saturn in Pisces. And I feel like, we've just had this major event of Venus in Leo retrograde for quite a while, really exploring how we value ourselves and self-love, okay, and how we allow our spirit to shine in the world and follow our passion. And so now, we've got Saturn. Saturn comes in and it's like bringing the test of how much did we learn, okay, and how much can we actually implement in our life. So, because Saturn can bring in the inner judge, which is very similar to the inner critic. And as I said, Venus and Virgo can be very critical of self and others. And with Saturn, which finds imperfections, but can show us where a growth edge is, where we can actually improve. So it's like, uh, how can we see where we need to grow without judging ourselves or impacting our sense of self-worth and love, that we have a solid core within us? Okay. Criticism may come from others during this time. So no, don't take it in. Know that it is really about them, but there may be a teaching in there about your own self-esteem. Venus is conjunct Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, which can bring in shame, especially as related to the body and sexuality. And Saturn can absolutely bring in shame. Shame and judgment is one of Saturn's main ways he works. And shame is one of the gatekeepers of deeper issues, and to claim our own inner authority, which is what Saturn is about. It is important to be able to move past it. And we may need help from healers to do that if it is deep. But just know it may come up now. And if it does, to be able to love yourself, okay, and forgive yourself, okay? It can bring limitation and disappointment um, in our expectations of others. Right. They may not live up to what we think they should be living up to. And to know that we must rely on ourselves for our own fulfillment. No one else can really make us happy. Okay. And with Saturn, like I said, is about our own personal authority. So it can help us create a strong inner core through the development of our spiritual practices. Saturn in Pisces is about the development of our spiritual practices that support our connection to our own divinity and self-love. Okay, so that we can stay in balance while being able to recognize where growth is needed. And Saturn can give self-discipline to make this happen. And I think the ultimate goal of this is to become your own inner authority and trust your own inner guidance, for no one else knows what is in your highest good. One more thing, the eclipse is in conjunct Uranus and Taurus. Taurus and Libra are both ruled by Venus, goddess of love. She's just super strong at this time. In Libra, Venus is much more about relationship balance and inner peace. In Taurus, it is about natural beauty, the body, nature, and self-love. And both are seeking serenity and peace. That is really the goal of it. And they're meeting by what's called an inconjunct, which is 150 degrees. And there are two energies that do not have a lot in common, but need to work together. So when you have an inconjunct, that's what it means. It's sometimes we have to adjust to some uncomfortable situations. Okay. And paradox is also I believe, part of the energy of an inconjunct. So I feel like what this is saying is about being grounded and present being grounded in the present moment is how we navigate these chaotic times to stay in your body. Okay. Listen to the wisdom of our bodies and the guidance they give. Self-love is the basis for love with others. Slowing down and caring for ourselves is every bit as important as caring for others. And when we are listening, it draws to us what we need. So in conclusion, what I want to say is that we are in times of great change and breakdown, which is causing fear to rise in the collective, but there is guidance. This eclipse is opening a portal of cosmic energy to show us that to navigate these chaotic times, we need to stay centered in ourselves, in our bodies, and aligned with Mother Earth. No matter how difficult things become, the way to live is through generosity of spirit and kindness. It is never wrong. To become your own inner authority and trust your own inner guidance as we are traveling through some unknown territory. And to pray for all who are suffering. Do not take sides. Be the peace you want to see in the world, for that is the only way to shift this energy. All right, that's what I see. Wishing you all a wonderful month. And I actually will be back in 2 weeks for the lunar eclipse. So if you're interested in an astrology reading, a traditional one, or my galactic readings, I have going to start really doing a little bit more marketing for my galactic readings, starseed readings, I guess is a way you would say that, because they can be very profound and powerful. And wishing you all a wonderful month and many blessings, and namaste. Okay.